They promised that they would, by LordsOfJoop. Gather, youth of my young, and listen. Your parents, as did my own parents, heard these words, and you, in time, will tell them, exactly as I say them now. Every night, until there are no nights, we are held to the promise and saved by another. The story begins with war. It tore worlds apart, and ours was no different. We pledged fealty to different leaders for many reasons, and when they came, we thought, these are no different than any other. False words, hollow sentiments, and empty threats. They would come, they would leave, and we would endure, as always. We had known war, you see, as it was our birthright. Our species emerged from the jungles in a struggle, crossed vast plains, then oceans, and still, we carried a struggle within us all. And when we met our own, we shared that struggle violently and often. It was our way. Today, this is not so. Today, we live in the shadow of a promise, and we will uphold our promise in reply. Above us, the grand edifices built by the last invaders this world will ever know, for we are guarded by the promise itself. Those invaders said that they would give us farmland where once we knew deserts and wasteland, and indeed, they delivered. Our only remaining deserts are heritage spaces and wildlife preserves, kept out of prosperity and for genetic cataloging. They promised us a time of plenty if we labored hard for it, and thus, our world knows no starvation. Hunger is a hobby, not a birthright, and we live in a time of plenty perpetually, and yes, the labor is hard enough to keep us honest about it. They promised that the hand that struck us would pull back a stump, for we were their allies. If only we would lend them our skies long enough to build their ships and their stations and their many, many wonderful, horrible things that move between the stars. And then the menace came. They broadcasted in all our many frequencies across many networks and made many threats. They named us, one by one, and said that we would be sold as meat, traded for goods and services, trafficked to the furthest corners of the galaxy and far, far more sinister things not meant for your ears. Though, I suspect you will find them, should you be curious enough about them. And they arrived, and saw our world undefended, unguarded, outside of all patrol routes, and with only one phrase to say, our perpetual greeting to all of the would-be invaders, as part of the promise. Those words have ancient meaning, you see, my lovely younglings, and it digs in deep to the memories of when our promised were once a great scourge unto the many faces of evil in the galaxy. Indeed, they said those same words and saw fear in the eyes of all who heard it, for they knew what it meant to go one step further. Their enemies could expect no mercy and would have no reprieve, and suffer immensely well before expiring in the most violent of all retributions, for to anger them, it was to dare the darkness itself to overwhelm and swallow one whole, always. The names of those species who no longer exist is long, as are the shadows of those who fled when we spoke those words of the promise to the menace. They left unharmed as we were unharmed, and have been unharmed ever since the day of days. And today, after hearing this story, words followed words, as I heard them when I was exactly your age, and as you all graduate onto the highest echelons of communication officers, and thus become the ears and the mouth of our world and beyond, you may hear them now, in full. Fuck around and find out.
Well, that was dumb. By Admiral Marsupial 13. Humans always ask the dumbest questions. Why are people looking at me like I'm crazy? Because you're eating enough capsaicin to kill a small town, you fucking freak. Why did you refuse our mining permit? Because sending a star supernova to make the resources easier to collect doesn't meet a single legal safety requirement for mining, you gibbering psychotic ape. Why are we barred from the Iberi system? Because they're telepathic. The last one who met one of your species without psychic shielding started clawing his eyes out while quietly muttering, "Tentacles don't go there," over and over again. And they shouldn't have to carry psychic shielding on their own planet just because you're all perverts. Why can't I take the alien doggy home? Because it's a 200-kilogram murder machine from a death world that's... You know what? Fuck it. You have fun. I'm out. We thought that when it came to insane and stupid questions, the humans were in a league of their own. Then, the humans found out about the black market pleasure slave trade of a poor race called the Nualins, run by a little-known race called the Rulids in the Galactic Fringe. They heard how the gangs running the auctions had avoided punishment due to massive bribes paid to their governments, and demanded it to be ended immediately. Then, the Rulids managed to ask a question so monumentally stupid, it would have made someone trying to eat their own radioactive feces through a straw look like the most intelligent scholar in galactic history. What the fuck are you going to do about it? The laugh from the Nualins could be heard even through the vacuum of space.